Hey, it's W5HRO. Here's an update on this transmitter. I know it's been a while again. I just started working on it again today. I was trying to put up my inverted L just the week before last, and we had some heavy rain off and on, and I waited for a break in the weather, and I tried to push that darn uh, black fiberglass telescopic mast up through that tree, and I kept getting the wire for the antenna itself for the inverted L. I kept getting it tangled up in the tree limbs, and I kept trying to yank it out, and I got it all bent up. So I said, "The heck with it." I pulled it back down. I cut the wire off, and I ordered new wire. And I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to try to get it up there a slightly different way now. But I ran into the problem because it's getting tangled up when I try to push it up through the tree. The leg that's going to come down across the top of across the whole backyard is it's kind of that's what was getting tangled, and I couldn't get it out of the tree limbs. So I think I know how to do it now. I'm going to have a friend come over and help me, and we're going to try to do it a different way. And so I'm rebuilding the antenna as of now. And I ordered some new wire that's kink proof, and it's supposed to be here, I think, Monday. So that's the other hold up. Right now it's sunny outside, and we got a nice break in the weather, but I don't have the wire yet. I have everything else to do it except I'm waiting on the new wire to come. And so the problem is we got about 2 or 3 more days of this sunny weather, then the rain's coming back, which is probably like Monday or Tuesday. So I'm still trying to get my antenna put up for this thing. So I came back in here and I started doing some more work. I buttoned the RF duct down for now. I got it. I put a couple screws in to hold it into the rack for now. And I did go hell. Before I go around the back, I did decide to just go ahead and leave that tuning cap mounted in there like it was. I'm not going to worry about it. And see, I mounted these plates flush now to where now the knob just spins around. See, this is going to be better. So now see, those black knobs match these other ones. So that's good. See the knobs, it'll match the same knobs. They're also Raytheon knobs. I'm going to replace this one. The problem is the switch I have in there, the shaft is too short, so I'm going to have to replace the switch with a longer shaft. But on 75 meters, what I figured out is I played around, and years ago when I'd first built this thing, I had the bias supply deck here where this new exciter rack is now. So I had the bias supply deck there, and I had the things were all regulated. The grid supply, the control grid was fairly regulated, and so was the screen, which you really don't want those supplies regulated for AM phone. You want the screen to modulate and the grid to bounce around. So that's why I switched this thing to grid leak. And I changed the screen where I'm going to force modulate the screen via those 2 capacitors, but I still need the top end regulation on the screen to keep it from going above 500 volts. But when I had it like that before with the regulated supplies, the tuning on this thing was much different. It was easier. Now when I adjust everything, even the loading knob, the screen is like bouncing up and down, and it's like one adjustment affects the other 2 drastically. So I have to find this balance now. I kind of preferred the regulated supplies I had because it's moving around too much when I tune it now. So that's what the difference is. But what I've noticed is I can get the screen current back down, far enough. If I just back the power down to like 400 watts output max, it was doing about 410. It's still a little low, but I think what it is, it's the efficiency of my tank circuit. If I put a vacuum variable cap in this thing with a very short strap to that B&W inductor, it would probably make a huge difference. So one of these days, if I ever decide to change this plate tuning cap out, I'm going to put a big vacuum variable in there and just be done with it. And that's what I should have done years ago, but I couldn't find one, back in the late 80s when I was digging up the parts for all this. So anyway, but I've got it. If you look here now, if I transmit, well, the screen currents come up a little bit. Why? I'm going to have to try retuning it again. Let me just switch the mic on. What I've noticed is if I back the load down, what I do is I get up here, I drop the power down, and I bring it up just almost to full peak, about 400 watts. And it's still, the screen current's still a little high, and I don't know how to get it down. It was always high years ago, but it's still high. That's what I can't figure out. It's possible this meter's not accurate. This meter has a problem. I thought it was good, but it's got a problem because it's still on the left side of the zero. But I've got it where it's working okay now. I mean, I can just set it for like 400 watts out. And see that? Oh, see, if I peak it up for full max power, see what happens? So the only way to get the screen current down is I have to back the load way down, which drops the power a little bit. So I just got to slowly bring it up to where it's right at 400, and then it keeps it just a little above 30 mils, which that's as low as I can get it. It always ran hot, and I don't understand why, but it's always been that way. So see, there it is. So 400 watts out on this is on what, 3880, 75 meter AM phone. So the next thing I'm going to do here, I'm going to start it to later today and then keep working on it tomorrow. Is I'm going to build up the supply for the Keep Alive, the Keep Alive supply for the 3 diode negative peak limiter. That's what's missing here. So I'm going to finish that. I'm going to figure out. I don't know where I'm going to put it. I got a transformer out in the garage. I can build something up real quick. I need like around 200 volts on average, plus or minus a little bit. So I just need something I can put a rheostat on there and just get it somewhere close. Just the forward bias those diodes and keep everything up and running. Because the way this transmitter is, the negative modulation peak will hit the baseline and it will try to go way down past it. And I've got a pair of 810s, my God, modulating a single 4400, so what do you expect? Like I said, this is back in the days when a lot of us were trying to figure out a way to get close to 200% modulation, or at least 150. So we were overbuilding the modulators and experimenting and stuff. And that's when I started building this. That was my intent. So, but now it's just, 125% is all I want, 130 max on the positive peaks. That's good enough. With 400 watts out, that should be good enough. So anyway, that's kind of what I'm doing. I did keep the 10 meter coil in there. I switched it back and forth a couple times, and the tank circuit actually works better with that 10 meter coil added. So it throws the whole entire inductance of this coil out of whack if I take it off. So I'm leaving it on there. So that's what I decided to do. But that's where I am at this now. I did get the thing to resonate and output on 17 and 20 meters both. The problem is I can't get more than 100 watts out of either of those two bands. And it's the efficiency of that Pi network. So what I'd have to do is I'd have to take out this vacuum variable. I mean this fixed fixed variable type cap with the movable plates, and then swap it out for a vacuum variable to get full power out on those higher bands. But also, because when I'm just spotting it without throwing the high V on the tubes, I can set it for like on 17 meters. It's just a little bit below the 12 milliamps of grid drive that I need. But when I turn the plates on and try to tune up everything, it drops down farther. So I've got to get the power output up on the highest two positions here. Although this last position for 20 and 17 meters. So I still have not tuned this exciter yet. So when I tune it, or if I have to change the tubes back to what they were, or put Sylvanias in it to get the power up all the way, I will. But I think I can get that power up to where I can probably get a little over 100 watts out on those two bands, but at least it's usable. The problem is it's going to be extremely over-modulated, so I'll have to keep it turned down. But at least I can get on those two bands with a little bit of power if I need to. My goal is to try to get at least 200 watts on each of the bands, and maybe when I get this thing fully tuned and get the power up on this thing on those highest two bands, then maybe it'll bring it up to where maybe I'll get close to 200 watts out of it. But we'll see what happens. I think that's all I have for right now, but it's working. I just need to build the Keep Alive supply. Then I'm going to set the bias on the modulator, and I'm going to hook up the modulation transformer, and I'm going to see what happens here on dummy load and see if how, where that Keep Alive supply, what voltage it needs to be set to where I don't flat top, where it doesn't, I don't hit, because I'm not going to have enough headroom on the positive peak if I try to limit that negative peak to up too far. I'm hoping that limiting it to 90% will do it, but like I said, this modulator is powerful for this single tube. So, but I did that on purpose, That's what I did years ago, and that's what everybody was doing. We were overbuilding the modulators, trying to figure out how to make these things work. Like, what's his name? Hoyze used an upside down tube. He had that 4-1000 rig where he had that upside down tube to fool the thing to where he could get the 200% modulation. But this was my approach. This was a little bit different way of doing it. So that's it for now. I'm trying to finish this thing up, and I'm trying to get my antenna up here. But I was trying to get back on the air before Christmas, but my trip to Tulsa, got me about 3 weeks behind. It put me 3 weeks behind on this getting back on the air project. So, but I'm still working on it. I'm just trying to get everything done, and I'm trying to figure out a way to get the antenna up, and I'm just going to have to try to do it when I get a break in the weather, I guess. So that's it for now. This is W5HRO.